What they do. This your boy DP.
This your girl T.
And we're the Geminis Gemz, representing for the Geminis across the world, giving our own Miami perspective.
For sure.
So you can follow us on all podcast platforms at Geminis Gemz.
Also follow us on Instagram, Geminis_Gems, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Geminis Gemz.
Hey, make sure you like, follow, you comment, and you subscribe. Yes. And make sure when you type it in, it's Geminis with the S, Gems with a Z. And what we do, T?
Drop them gems.
We drop them gems. What they do, y'all. How y'all doing out there? To the Aces and Jewels. And to the tribe. How y'all doing out there?
To the tribe.
How they doing?
Like, they're great.
I think so.
Like, it's no complaints right now.
I hear you.
It shouldn't be because we're still breathing. That's
right.
all.
Right.
And it's early. We're not going to tell no timestamp or what's going on, but this is early.
Early, y'all.
Hey, we trying.
So what's going on?
What's going on?
Not
How you
much.
been?
I've been all right. And you? How you?
I'm good.
Okay.
Listen, these kids back to school, and I'm excited.
Okay.
And that's all. Like, these kids need to go back.
Oh, man.
Be healthy.
You tired of your kids?
I love them, but it was time. Mommy, what we gonna eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Oh,
like,
man.
holy crap.
Coming to you for everything.
Every single need, somebody else needs to help.
I know y'all kissing the teachers in the mouth by now.
But like, what you need?
Right.
Anything else additional outside of this?
Right.
Okay, all right.
That's a shame.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm your boy DP. This my girl T.
Hi.
And we Gemini Gems. That's Geminis with the S.
S.
That's Gems with the Z.
Z.
And what we do?
We drop them gems.
We drop them
Come on,
gems.
we'll do it early dreams like quicker. This is early.
Right.
All right.
So today we're coming with the topic of self-control.
Self-control.
And to have the willpower, the self-discipline, the self-restraint, what it means to us. And actually, I think T came up with the topic. Actually, she came up with the topic.
Okay.
And when she came up with the topic, I guess for over the years, she always hit us as friends with certain
What?
challenges
Okay.
of self-control. I remember when we was young, you was like, Dwayne. I was like, what? T. And you was like, let's be abstinent for 5 years. I said, T, we just graduated from school.
Don't judge me.
Listen, that's
Y'all don't
why she
judge
not
me?
saying nothing, because it's true.
Oh,
She
my goodness.
always hit us with some challenges.
And you decline.
I know I did, because I was being honest with myself.
You decline. And I think
Yes.
I came with you with abstinence twice in our lives. And I think you declined both times.
Yeah.
Because when I had the apartment after high school,
Right.
and I brought it back again, and you
No, I wasn't a part of that one.
You wasn't a part of that one? Okay.
No,
'cause-
you came with a challenge, I think last year. No, was it last year? Yeah, last year.
It was last year?
Or a couple of months ago.
Uh-huh.
It was around like the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So either December or January.
Okay.
So you came with another challenge. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Oh my goodness.
But it was like 7 days of something that clearly.
You did not say yes to.
Exactly.
It's just, I don't remember. I
So-
don't remember the recent one.
So with that being said, right? So what I really think it is to show self-control.
Right.
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 And how we can benefit from it. And I
Right.
think that's the reason why you end up coming with the different challenges. And then you challenge us as friends to show the self-control so we can benefit from it.
Right.
So I'm going to let you take it over so you can go ahead and do your dizzle.
Oh my goodness. But
Yeah, we can go from there.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
question, like to the to the, you know, Drews and Aces. Like, well, two questions.
Okay.
Since you brought up abstinent, right?
Right.
Like, have you guys ever been abstinent? That's number one.
Okay.
And then number two, like, were there any challenges or any self-control? Like, you know what? I'm going to work on this. Like, I want people to understand, like, we're here to spark conversations. So
Right.
we want you guys to just engage with us, but
Right.
just keep that in mind, right?
Right.
So I thought about self-control because life goes on. And I'm learning that, T, you're not able to change or control nothing what's going on. So how am I able to adapt what us Geminis do,
Okay.
you know, to any situation that may come up?
Okay.
And self-control came to the front line. And I was like, okay, so when you're in the midst of a situation, like for me, I didn't know before I did my research or actually sat down, spoke with other people about self-control. I was lost. I didn't know what to do when I was angry. And so a few things that I've learned, and I just wanted to spark conversation with you guys, of course, with my boy right here, DP. And the first thing I would do is like stop what you're about to say or do.
Right.
That would be the initiated for me. And with that, it's like, just keep your mouth shut, right? Because you don't want to say something that you really regret when you actually in the midst of it and you're angry.
Right.
Okay. And sometimes when you don't talk, I feel like you still can win. So it's all the time you
Facts.
that doesn't mean you're winning.
Right.
Sometimes when you won because you don't know,
Facts.
the other person doesn't know what you're thinking, what you're about to say. So
Right.
it's just what you're able to do. So before I just keep going on, like, what do you feel like the initiative things to do if you're angry? Like, what can you control?
Well, okay. So with anger,
Right.
right? Just how you put it, which is for me, what I do is I just be quiet when I'm angry, and I try to control my emotions, especially when I'm upset. Like when I'm hit with certain situations. For example, I'm gonna give you an example. Me and my friend went out of town to Atlanta.
Okay.
And once we got there, one of the other friends was supposed to be there and meet us there. And he didn't show up. And he was responsible for the where we stay at.
Okay.
And he had the information. He paid for it. We was going to pay him back. And he didn't show up.
Wow.
And then I called him, texted him. And it's no way that you did not know. You get what I'm saying? Because
Right.
I put, I'm on the flight, and stuff like that.
Right.
And I contact his girl, and he didn't show up at all. And then when I was in the line to get the rental, it was like we landed, we landed, we in line to get the rental, we getting ready to try to enjoy ourselves, but he's not
Right.
picking up. And I'm thinking the worst. He probably got in an accident, or he probably just pulled over. And then I didn't want to think the worst. So I'm thinking, okay, he probably went to the side,
Okay.
pulled over, and went to sleep for probably like an hour because he probably was tired and stuff like that. So I give that to him.
All right.
But then when he called back, it was one of those, I'm not coming.
Just like that.
Just like that. And I began to boil, but I thought it's best to, at this point, it's nothing I can do. If I cuss you out, it doesn't help me
No.
in this situation.
Right.
If I fuss you out, it doesn't help me.
No.
And that's how I analyze my anger.
Right.
Is this anger at this point going to benefit me?
No.
And it's not.
Right.
It's going to cause me to act out in straight emotions,
Right.
to react into, straight emotions, to put myself in danger.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Where I can, bust a vessel.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like stuff like this actually happened. I had I wouldn't say a relative, but he was like a relative to the family. He was very close to the family.
Okay.
In his anger, he died. He passed. And he was told before by like a evangelist, your anger is going to kill you. Because when he got so angry, right, it would just set him off. Right. His heart rate goes up. I'm pretty sure his eyes used to turn red and all of like that cartoon character with the steam coming out and stuff like that. Right. That's how his anger was.
Gotcha.
And it didn't benefit him, which it caused him to pass away.
Wow.
Of course, medical reason and stuff like that as well. But it stemmed from the anger. Gotcha. He was just upset over the phone, and then he ended up dropping dead.
Wow.
So for me, you know, I just analyze it as that, you know, I analyze it as, does it benefit me? If I'm that angry, then I just need to subside myself from I need to disconnect from this person.
Right.
I need to go ahead and go the other direction.
Yes.
Now, when you're like, let's say if I do go the other direction and you follow me, now you're deserving of the wrath that comes with it.
Exactly.
So that's how I deal with anger. So when it comes down to self-control, it's the ability to control oneself in a particular one's emotion and desires, the expression of them in one's behavior. So it's like, that's a deep meaning, right?
It is.
To learn how to control yourself emotionally, even in your desires, as well as how you express your behavior.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I was just sitting up there, I'm like, dang, T done hit us with a deep one this week. You know, and I just feel like with self-control, it takes a very mature person.
It does.
Like, you cannot be no little wimp out here.
Nope.
To be able to even, let's say, escalate in life. You get what I'm saying? Like, to reach different pinnacles, is no way that you can do that without having self-control.
Right.
So what else you got for me, Tay?
All right. So back to, I just wanted to add what you were saying about the emotions, because our brains have like so many neurons and all these cells and everything, right? So you have the amygdala that's like one part of your brain that will actually try to control your emotions, right? Especially when like you're angry. And we teach our kids that, and her name is Amy. And then we have Flo. So this is what we teach the kids, right? So you have Flo, who's actually in the front, if I'm not mistaken, of your frontal lobe, right? And so Flo is the one who's actually more mature. Flo will sit back and really, let's analyze this. Right. Don't say anything. But when you have Amy, who's the rowdy one, and she takes over, she's more negative, and she's the one who's going to express. And so, like you stated, how unfortunately, you know, the story that you said about the man, it's like he probably had so much anger and stress in his brain to where like health really is number one. And I don't know if everyone, and we have to keep educating ourselves on how the body works, because if all of these negativity things going on and our brain controls most of everything in our body, you know, including with the heart, it's like if you keep putting that negativity and stress on you, your body's going to react how you, I guess, allow it onto yourself. So that's why for me, if I bring up certain topics like self-control, I don't know all the science, like all the statistics or whatever behind it, but I'm learning as I'm going. And I just want to share that with you and others, because it's like we have to keep working on self-love. Okay, so I just wanted to add that when it comes to the two different brain cells. So what I, you know, I just want to add that, you guys. Now, so the next one I wanted to bring up. So now that you know, just shush it up, you know, what about like, think about your choices and actions. So now that you quiet and you're not saying anything, so again, think about your choices, your actions. Avoid the "I'm sorry." You don't have to immediately respond to every impulse as it occurs. So, did you go through any situations like that, DP?
Well, yes. Far as being impulsive, and that's another trigger as well. I was very impulsive, especially at my job. I would more react than to actually respond to certain situations that transpired while I was working. And also in relationships. Let me put it like this. Well, not in all situations, right? But in my relationships, I would be impulsive to do something that I wasn't supposed to do. Right. So I reacted to the situation. I can't recall that off the top because now I'm more reserved. I'm not so impulsive when it comes down to when a person does something. So, okay, I think about a situation when I was talking to a girl and then I wasn't in a relationship with her.
Okay.
But we was out and about and some guy came up and he said what's up to her. But she wanted a hug. She wanted something more than just a what's up.
Okay.
And I saw it, and I saw her response to him.
All right.
So what I wanted to do, my impulse kicked in to just leave. Because I'm not in a relationship with you, but then I'm talking to you.
Right.
You know, and you should have had the decency to show me respect regardless.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? And then when that stuff transpires with me, especially with another guy, I'm not going to check the dude in that situation.
Right.
I'm more likely gonna, you know, respond to the female I'm dealing with. So when that happened, my first reaction was to go off. You know, hey, listen, man, why you trying me, this, that, and the third, and then just leave? Oh, why you left? And then it was her birthday, so I didn't want to mess that up. You get what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can you can take the joy from someone else.
Gotcha. Because
of how you feeling. And it probably wasn't even that situation. You get what I'm saying? Because a lot of times in impulse, we create our own story within our brain. So that story I played out wasn't even true.
Right.
That was like somebody she actually knew. You get what I'm saying? And that's what they usually do is hug. You get what I'm saying? But I think what happened was he saw me.
Right.
And then he was like, what's up?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? He didn't think to hug her.
Right.
You know, at the time.
Right.
So those are things. And if I had act out in impulse, it would have messed up her whole night. So what I did was I responded well to the situation. I just laid back and I felt some type of way.
Right.
And then later I just asked her the question about the cat. Like, hey, listen, because I don't want to be looking like a fool out here. You feel me? Like if you got something going on and you put me in the same room, let me know. And then I'm going to say this. Most of my relationships, the girls have put me up on game.
Okay.
When I walked in the room.
All right.
Like it was one girl, she let me know what it was when I first met her.
Right.
And we was in the room and she heard the guy's name over because he was like a part of the DJ group.
All right.
I think he was an artist or something like that.
Okay.
And she let me know what it was. You get what I'm saying? She like, hey, back in the day I used to talk to him.
Right.
So if he see me and I see him, you get what I'm saying? It may be something. You get, like far as like, hey, how you doing?
Exactly.
And then I won't be I won't be looking weird.
Right.
If I can continue. At my job, I know I responded to my supervisor in a negative way, you know, because of my impulse. I remember a situation that occurred and I was kind of pressed for time and I was doing overtime, but I was pressed for time. But what I did was I stuck my neck out for the individual that decided to get up and not finish his work.
Wow.
So he got up and he left.
Wow.
He didn't even finish his job.
He just clocked out.
He just clocked out and left. And then we was left with the burden, right? So what I did was I tried to expedite because, you know, expedite that run to hurry up so that the doctors can do the autopsies and stuff like that. But they needed certain identification information first.
Got you.
And he didn't do his part, so I stepped up to the plate, handled that, and came back. But during that, I was harassed. I felt, you know, hey, where you at? Hey, where you at? You know, constantly. So when I got back to the office, I just was on one. Oh, you're not considering what I had to do. You're not considering the drive time. You're not considering this. You're not considering that. And you know what? I just end up leaving. I just left the job.
Gotcha.
I clocked out, bop.
And hey, you did it, I do it too.
Right. You get what I'm saying? Like, if it gotta be all of this, I'm not finna be in here like that. So, but I went off on on my supervisor at the time, and now that I look at it, it's like, Dwayne, you shouldn't have did that. You feel me? What I should have done was went on ahead, clocked out, and just went home.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? And not embarrass myself. So, what about you with the impulse? Like, or how do you handle certain situations?
For me, as I'm learning, I get more quiet. Like I'm quieter than anything. So if I'm quiet, that means something is wrong.
Right.
But
yes. Facts.
That's facts, right? But I also been in a few like situations numerous of times, like in the past couple of weeks or months, even if I'm sick or not. So I'm not going to expose anyone's name, but a particular person kind of try to steal like a property that belongs to me. And it's mine. It's not yours, but you took it from me. And in the midst of it, it's like, what do? Do you call the police, or do you try to just resolve it without law enforcement?
Right.
Because that's why they there, but you really try to not bring them around your home, right?
Right.
And so only thing I can do was just like, Terica, just let it go, because I care about that person for other reasons. And it's like the embarrassment. It's just certain levels, I guess, of certain situations that I feel like sometimes you just win automatically when you really just be quiet. And because in the midst of it, now that I'm quiet, now that I'm sitting still, I'm not saying anything, what actions to do, I just have a question to myself, like, okay, so what would God want you to do?
Okay.
And I said, just don't do anything. And so I didn't. And within 3 days later, I got what I wanted and needed, but not from that person. So I had to go and get it again. But it depends on like what situations. And when it comes to the workplace, some people are really disrespectful. And my current employer now is a group like of people and kind of divided, but it's a lot of disrespect. And it's like in the midst of it, I'm very respectful. I don't care about ages. I don't care about gender identities. I don't care about anything. I just care about respect. And as the outside looking in, my boss was like, Terica, this is the quietest like I ever seen you. And I said, it's just a lot of disrespect, it's going on. And he was like, I agree. But for me, I'm just quiet.
Gotcha.
Because I'm not mature enough to have that shade of gray, if they make sense. So if I talk
that's deep
while I'm angry, it's nothing but negativity
that's gonna come out.
So if I be quiet and you avoid from the regrets or anything negative, I just be quiet. So I'm still working on me, because I'm not in the middle of let me express it in a professional way, or let me express it in a nice whatever way. It's just I'm not there yet.
Gotcha.
So I'm working on it. Back to you.
Right. Okay. So it was something that you said.
Okay.
When it comes down to, okay, so you said you didn't respond.
I don't respond.
So in not responding, is that a good thing?
It
Because
all depends.
The reason why I say that, because sometimes some conversations just has to be had.
Okay.
Some things have to be said to the individual.
Okay.
That's where you get the word assertive from.
Okay.
You know, you have to stand on the principles of, let's say, friendship, workmanship, and even relationships.
Right.
There should be some type of principle factor that kicks in during that encounter with the individual.
Right.
So just walking away from a situation, and I'm not saying not to walk away when you cannot handle it.
Okay.
But even with self-control, you have to have some type of rebuttal.
All right.
You know, you have to say something.
Have to say something.
And it's just how you say it. Because like me at my job, like let's say something happens, transpire, I know not to say it in front of everybody.
Right.
So I actually pull the person. If I have an issue with the person, I pull them to the side. I remember one time one of the police officers thought me and my coworker was like fighting, cussing at each other. He had came to the window and was like, hey, what's going on? Y'all all right in here?
Right.
We just talking. But we had a opportunity to say what we wanted to say, without all of the extra people adding on.
Gotcha.
He can have his spill, I can have my spill, and we just either correct it or we just spread apart, like we just go our way afterwards.
Right.
But him and I actually, like, we talked about it. I said exactly how I said said what I felt.
Right.
He said what he felt, and then we just worked on that as, the time, like we just worked together because we had to work together that day.
Gotcha.
Because it was just him and I.
Right.
And we just did our job, and we got back in the van. And it was like, hey, you hungry? Yeah, I'm hungry. Let's go get something to eat.
Right.
So, just speaking on that real quick, like, do you think something should be said at the point of, do you think something should be said at the point of you being, let's say, angry, or something being like you said, something being taken from you?
It was like something small was said, because even the small percentage of what I said, like, hey, just return it, the person spazzed out. Like, so negative. Like,
Gotcha.
You said the anger with the smoke and steam, but I'm like, but it's mine. You understand? And so now I'm kind of get over my sickness that I was already dealing with. So I didn't have their energy to feed into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that moment, I wasn't able to do the back and forth because it's materialistic things.
Right.
But it's still mine.
Right.
And that person is just negative.
Okay.
That person is just negative.
Gotcha. So even in that, is that a part of a deflection? Because the person reacting to you in anger. Because I also watch that too when it comes down to individuals. And yes, I may have self-control, but that person may not, because they're not mature enough, right? But then at the same time, they what they're doing is being deflective. They're deflecting from the truth instead of admitting it. So then let's say you call it out at that time.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because that's what I would try to do. I would, hey, listen, bro, you're just lying. You know you did what you did.
Right.
Just come to that point of, like, you know what, admitting it.
Right.
And then doing the right thing beyond that point.
Gotcha.
Because what I'm learning now is that, like, instead of doing all the arguing, if that's a word,
right?
I know it's a word, but I just said it completely wrong.
We got you.
I just wanted to laugh at that moment, right, to make light of the situation.
You better than me, so go ahead.
So at that point of us arguing, we won't. I would just say, listen, this is what it is,
right?
Right, and I see it now. However you respond to me, let's go. Let's get it, because I'm not going to get to that point, you know, where you take me out of character or anything like that.
Gotcha.
But if that situation is so, like, if you, what you're saying is so true,
right,
then you wouldn't be acting like that. And you know what helped me learn that? When an old man did that to me.
Gotcha.
He was like, bro, if you was telling the truth, you wouldn't be acting up like this.
Oh.
That's how I know this is a lie.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? So then you start calling people out on what they're doing, and then it makes them think about what they're doing. And if they value the relationship, they'll do the right thing.
So you just triggered something.
Okay.
This happened years ago.
Okay.
Right? So I was in a nail shop, and I saw my old boss at the time, a negative person, right? But when I seen her, I think I was by myself, and either she was by herself, I think she was with her daughter.
Okay.
But this is a regular routine, so all the nails technicians, they know who I am. They know my personality. I'm a good spirit person, right? And again, this is what, I'm not there yet in the mature, like in the shade of gray, because she said something to me, and the feelings and emotions I still had with her was still negative and all of that bull crap.
Gotcha.
And so I spazzed out. And when I spazzed out, she spazzed out. So it's like we going back at it in the nail shop. And I'm just like, T, how do you allow people to take you out of your character?
And you know why? You know why? And it makes sense now, because a lot of girls go through that, right?
Okay.
So I see it as you, that's why I asked the question. You let all of that stuff stay in.
Gotcha.
Do you say something at that point? Because we understand having self-control, but having self-control doesn't mean you do not say anything.
All right.
Because I think what we're thinking of is self-control as being quiet, you know, just walking away.
Right.
You know, but that's not really the mature way of having self-control.
Okay.
Self-control is like basically going through the fire and coming out stronger, like gold.
All right.
You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So it's in these situations help us to get stronger. Not saying I'm perfect at it, because clearly I'm not.
Right.
But then I understand, because, you know, I may have a different value because of what I do for my life, but I understand, like, you know what? Let me just go through this so I won't have to deal with it again. So that's just like, you know, pressure bust pipes. So you let all of that pressure build up.
I did.
And then once you saw it, it triggered. So you talked about a supervisor, right?
Right.
I had one the same way. This guy actually fired me. And then it was so crazy how he fired and why he fired me.
Wow. It was personal?
I think it was because he was getting ready to be fired, because that was the rumor.
Okay.
And so what he did was he was trying to get rid of certain guys.
Right.
I just had gotten on with the company. I was working with the company as a temp.
Gotcha.
And then they said, you know what? Y'all do a good enough job. Let me hire you.
Right.
So I was hired probably like 2 weeks. And then he was like, I'm not finna let this guy, this particular guy, me.
Right.
And probably like 3 other guys additional to me. These 3 guys that show up on time, that do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
I'm not going to allow them to get this type of money at the time.
Wow.
And I was young. I was only like 19, 18 years
why
old.
they counting your pockets? Why they hating?
I guess because he was going to lose his, right?
Just go.
So what happened was he called me up to the office and he was like, well, you know, we're going to have to let you go. I was like, okay. I can go home today. I was young, so I didn't see it as a problem. And plus, I already had little side hustles here.
Gotcha.
So, you know, and I had saved up some decent money. So I was like, man, this finna be a nice little vacation before I get me another job. So what I told him at the time, I said, thank you for the opportunity.
Right.
But I'm still young. And when I said that response,
right,
he went flipping through the paper. And I said at that point, he regretted doing that because he thought I was going to be like, oh man, I got my kids to take care of. I got this to take care of. Nope. He thought I was going to do that. But when I told him like, oh, I appreciate it. And now basically I'm free. Right. Man, he just went through the papers and he was like, oh man, I wish I could just do something different. And I know at that point, he regretted it. Right. I said, can I go home now? He was like, you want to go home now? I said, yes.
You just fired me.
You just let me go. I was like, I'll finish my little order. I only had like 2 more pulls and then I was going to be out. Right. I did my pull and then I told the other guys and they got angry. They was like, man, you show up on time. You do this. You do that. Why? Right. And they was angry for me, you know, and, you know, those things have transpired in my life. Not saying that I'm always acting that way of being grateful, even though I'm meeting a demise, you know, me ending work. But sometimes we have to respond to the situation. We can't just sit on it. Years later, I ran into him. Years later, I ran into this guy at Walmart.
And what happened?
And when I saw him, I said, man, I'm even doing better. So thank you. He was like, man, you're looking good. You're doing. I said, I'm doing very well. And that was the reason of bringing that up, because every interaction that I have with a person, I want it to be one of those like, dang, bro, you doing good? Yes. Right. What, you thought I was a bum? You feel me? Crazy. Like, but that's what people actually put out on you. Gotcha. I remember a guy, it was sad. It was even in the church that he thought I was a bad, like, not a bad influencer, but he just thought I had no purpose in life. He didn't even get to know me and I was playing for his church. Wow. He just thought he was a deacon in the church and he just had this bad image of me and did not know me. He did not know my grandma. He did not know my mom, my dad. You know, he didn't know my background. Right. All he saw that I was in the church with my brother, the type of car I was driving. And then because I wasn't the best musician, right? You get what I'm saying? He just talked down on me and then think I didn't hear it. And then when I say I was blessed with a job and then I started doing better, it was one of those, oh, bro, I wish I could have done what you was doing, man. I always loved to do. Then he saw the purpose. Right. Because one of his nieces actually came to me and told me, you know, oh, my uncle, you know, said this about you, this, that, and the third about you. And they started moving different because of what he was saying, but they wasn't paying attention to my heart. And this was out of the church. Gotcha. You get what I'm saying? And then even in me going through that, I wasn't church hurt because I know these are actual people. Right. You get what I'm saying? And they are like that. People naturally are negative. Yes. You know, and if they don't see XYZ over here, XYZ over there, right, then they're going to talk about you negatively. Gotcha. But when he saw me years later and I was doing way better. Exactly. Man, that man was like, oh, I didn't know you was going to turn out like this. He didn't say that. Right. But that's what it ended up being. And I said, and I told him, I'm doing great out here. Nah, I ain't say that now. I said, God bless me. Nah, I ain't going to do that. I ain't ever. But these are things that transpired in my life. Okay. And then I just respond at that moment. And then it's not that added pressure because I could have been like mad at them, upset with them. So I'm sorry for taking about 15 minutes.
Oh, you good? Because I have a question. Yeah. Because when you said deacon, a scenario came up with me and a particular friend. Okay. And she was at church. I guess
she was a deaconess.
She was at church, and one of the pastors just walked up to her, and she was in a group of amongst others, and they were just talking. But he came and he spoke to everyone, but he called her out in the midst of them having a conversation, like, "Who do you live with?" So she was puzzled and she was froze. She answered, but again, she didn't say anything. And she can't ask me for advice because it's something that I probably would do because, again, the self-control, like, I guess I need to keep working on it. Right. I would get quiet versus why are you asking me that? So it's
well, you should. It say exactly what you just said. But go ahead.
But why would he ask that question?
It probably because he found. I wouldn't know, right?
Okay.
But because I don't know the purpose behind him asking the question.
Okay.
But let's say, okay, I'm gonna throw a scenario out there, right? So let's say if he found out that, let's say she held a position in the church, for example, she held a leadership position in the church.
Okay.
There's a certain lifestyle that comes with that. But instead of him asking her in the open, he should have pulled her aside.
That didn't work. That wasn't the case
right.
at all.
So when he did what he did first, that's just straight up out of order.
Okay.
Because you're not supposed to embarrass anyone. You're supposed to literally just pull them to the side and let them know either to sit down or change your dynamic. You get what I'm saying? If you're going to continue in this,
right,
you need to sit down. If you're going to change, then you can continue in that position.
Okay.
Now, for him to ask that in front of everybody, he's out of order. But that becomes the arrogance of leaders in the church. And that's anybody that holds a position.
Right. They
always feel like they're inferior, or they just feel like they can do whatever they want. Actually, that just happened. I just saw that with a coach. I can do whatever I want. I'm looking at that. That's not what you say.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? You got to learn how to respond to people.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? So that's how I would see it.
All right.
So what else? What else happened with that situation?
That was it. And she answered and he walked away, and that was it.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have done that at all. So then let's talk about with self-control.
Go ahead.
Because of discipline.
All right.
Because you be loving to call me out when we in private.
What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about.
So I think it was like 2 weeks ago, or if not within the week, within the week.
Okay.
Not this week, but last week.
All right.
Something you was like, well, because we was on the phone. Okay. And you was like, Dwayne, what about being disciplined? Because clearly you're not. You didn't say that.
Did I say that?
I just said you didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
But you did say we was talking about being disciplined, and you asked me about it.
Okay.
And, just to give my interpretation of discipline, it's like if I'm training for a race or me being a musician, I have to discipline myself to sit down and not do other things.
Right.
Right. So I cannot be watching TV talking about something. I'm going to learn a new song. I have to discipline myself to sit down at the keyboard and learn this particular song, or whatever craft I'm involving myself in, or anyone out there involve themselves in. Be disciplined enough to do the task, to finish the task, and then move on thereafter, but always stay in that rhythm of practicing to become better.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So having that discipline will allow you to grow. Also have self-control to deal with certain situations at the time it comes. So I give you an example.
All right.
If I see musicians out here, right, because I'm not the best, but I seen musicians.
Says who? Why you feel like you're not the best?
Because there's a certain knowledge that comes with the best, and I don't obtain that, and I can be real about that.
Okay.
Not saying I cannot get to that point, but I know, what it is.
Okay.
So certain musicians I have seen be put in the fire. Like you'll get a person to walk up in the church or doing a performance, and they'll sing a song in the wrong key. They'll sing the song the wrong way.
Gotcha.
Right? Be making up their own stuff. And then the musician at that point cannot show the anger. Gotcha. He has to learn how to have self-control and just learn how to play.
Right.
Doing and just ad-libbing. Just filling in.
Gotcha.
But then it takes, you have to be disciplined enough to practice so that during that point of those encounters, because I have had it, what I would do is just don't play.
Okay.
Because if I don't know it, I won't play.
Right.
Or if the person wants me just to fill in with things I think it is, they'll let me know. They'll be like, "Come on, just give it to me.
Right.
I'm gonna sing it anyway." You get what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And
I got you.
some singers, they're like, "Listen, if you don't know the song, don't play at all." You know what I'm saying? So these are things I just wanted to bring up about the discipline. What you think about the discipline?
So discipline, right?
A disciple.
Disciple.
That's what the old folks say.
So we still talk about the self-control, being
Yes.
disciplined, being self-control.
Yeah.
God's still working on me with this.
This is so odd, right, to me.
This is, go ahead and say it before I go.
This is so odd to me.
Go ahead.
T, you be coming up.
Yes. Because I just want to spark the conversation.
Gotcha.
And again, if I have not experienced or really know some things, you will see T kind of be quiet because
Right.
I need to keep learning.
Right.
So I'm loving you're more engaged in this self-control because again, I'm still learning and I just want to bring it to the front, to the storefront, like let's talk about self-control.
And this is what I love about us is that we're being vulnerable and we show our vulnerability.
Yes.
That, you know, certain things we don't know and then we have the conversation to learn and pull from each other.
Right.
Because you helped me to realize that the anger thing, I don't have it under control.
Okay.
But I'm working on it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah, I'm definitely in grips to what you're saying.
Cause I don't us Geminis. Please work with the sister, right?
Okay.
It's just again, one of an old friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I miss her so much. She's the one who called me out. And she was like, "You have no shades of gray." And I said, "I never heard of this phrase before."
Okay.
Of course, years ago. And I was like, "What does that mean?" And of course, you all should know what shades of gray when you can turn it on and turn it off, but it's no compromise and nothing in the middle. I'm still working on it.
Right.
But
I love the word compromise. Go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right. Okay. So it's different layers to compromising, right?
Right.
Okay. Cool. But what was the other D word that you said?
Oh, discipline.
Oh, discipline. There you go. You know, okay. Okay. So
Come back.
come back. Oh my goodness. It be hard sometimes. It be hard. But discipline is just.
You can't say that you don't have it either. You just don't. I think you just don't know. You don't acknowledge that you have it because, like, in organization comes a discipline.
Okay.
Having being on time. You get what I'm saying? Like having a schedule is a discipline.
Okay.
And you have to look at it. You gotta. And sometimes I think what we need to do too is look at the small. Let's say our small attributes contributing to our maturity.
Right.
We have to look at the smaller things that we do and then we grow based upon that.
Okay.
So we can learn how to apply it to our lives.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? So with your organization is a discipline. You just have to learn how to apply it over here and over here.
Okay.
And those are the areas that you constantly work at. Being here every single day and you're waking up is to work on something.
Gotcha.
You're just not up here just to blow in air and blow out air.
Right.
You're not just here just for that.
Okay.
We have to learn how to work on ourselves on a day-to-day basis. Again, like I said, I know I'm not right. I know I'm not perfect.
Right.
But these are things I pay attention to.
Right.
So over time, I just learned like, okay, the mature thing to do is this. Then I may get hit with a situation today and tomorrow.
Right.
As the situations come, you just have to learn how to fight, adjust, adapt, to those situations as they come. Now, you have brought up also having patience.
Yes, I did.
Come on, give it to me.
So with patience, so I just feel like patience is very important when it comes to self-control. And the main people that I know I need to have patience with, that I'm more exercising with, honestly, is with a person is actually my teenage daughter. Because it's hard. Like these teenagers just going through their hormones and all what 2021 is bringing. And when I mean that these kids can bring it to you, and I'm just like, I understand how some mothers or parents be negative towards their kids, and I have to talk to my daughter. I said, you have to understand, you're the only one that I'm able to have that gray circle with, if that makes sense, because I can't talk to her as if she's a female on the street. And then I can't be quiet in order for me not to get my mother point across. So I guess for me to really open up about the self-control we're talking about, it will be my daughter when it comes to the patience, because it's just not easy. And so
I guess my interpretation with the patience is to learn that the changes are taking place.
Right.
And, my son hasn't gotten there, but I have dealt with, my godson as he became a teenager, or as he's becoming one. As things come to me, I just try to navigate him. He's not so much he doesn't come back at me for the fact that when he was younger, I kind of disciplined him in a certain way.
Okay.
And now that he's older, he's more receptive to what I'm saying.
Right.
And then it helps him to, I guess the knowledge that I throw at him at times.
Okay.
He's just receptive to it, and then he knows how to apply it.
All right.
This ain't working this way, and then you know what to do.
Okay.
And then I just navigate him based upon how it comes to me. And then I know to take a back seat too, because I'm not his, biological dad.
All right.
And stuff like that. But if I was if my son was older, if I had a daughter that was older, what I would do is just plain and simple, try to understand them, but tame it.
Okay.
Try to tame their attitude and stuff like that. Teach them how to develop quicker. Hey, get out of your feelings. Like last night I was talking to my son.
Okay.
And he started to act out because he wanted me to remember a name that I could not remember. I didn't even know the little name of the joker he was talking about.
Oh, okay.
So what I had to tell him, I said, Juice, get yourself out of your little feelings and understand what I'm saying. And then he calmed down. And then he went back into it. And then I just had to reiterate all of those things I was just telling him. Hey, listen, I don't remember the name. Remember, I wasn't at the house.
Right.
This, that, and the third. So communication on a consistent basis will help that person, help you get through those different stages. And then you learn with that is patience. Patience isn't being quiet.
Gotcha.
Patience is actually taking it step by step by step by step as you begin to get your point across.
Right.
As that person begins to mature to what you're saying, and I guess that's how I interpret it. So with your baby, you probably need to loosen the yoke a little bit, but at the same time,
I'm trying. I
told you that's my niece.
I know she is. So it goes back to, I'm not mature, because if it's like, I don't want my child to be like, well, damn, let me try to commit suicide. Let me try to run away from this crazy health. So it's like, I'm still learning. Like, I'm still learning.
Right.
I'm still learning.
So in parenting, there's a lot of obstacles that you have to, endure. But I think you're going to be able to get through it, as well as other parents. And I look at it like this too. Everybody has gone through something.
Right.
Other moms have gone through something. That's why you build the tribe to try to understand, the transitions and the emotions that takes place with the daughter. And also too, I think about it like this. My son isn't as different as I am. My mom tell me that all the time. He's not as different as you. He's going to do the same things you were doing.
Right.
But at this point, how would I have dealt with myself back then?
Okay.
And that's how I would look at it. When I deal with my son, I think about me. How do I want to be taught? And I talk to him just like that.
Gotcha.
And he responds well to it. It's crazy how he responds to it. Like he understand what I'm saying. Like I talk to some people, hear me talk, and they be like, "You talking to him like he's an adult."
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know no other way.
Right.
And then he responds well to it.
Yes.
So you sometimes, instead of dumbing it down,
okay,
remember your kid, especially your baby, they smart.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So they understand it. You just have to talk to them how you will want to be talked to.
Gotcha.
And I think you will excel in that. So on the topic of self-control,
self-control,
we need the discipline.
Gotcha.
We need the willpower.
Yes.
We need the self-restraint.
Yes.
With the anger.
Yes.
And also to have patience.
Yes.
Right?
All
so,
of
and there's many aspects to the conversation of self-control.
Right.
So we always like to spark the conversation so that it can be had in your home. So after this, you should have an additional conversation about self-control.
Right.
So we love for you all to subscribe, like, comment, and share our information. We appreciate you all for what you have done thus far. Continue it, aces and jewels.
Yes.
We love you all. Appreciate you. This your boy DP. This my girl T. And we Gemini Gemz. That's Geminis with the S. That's Gems with the Z. And what we do, T?
We drop them gems.
We drop them gems.
All right, you guys. Have a safe, great week.
All right, y'all take care.
All right. Bye.